So this is considered one of the most important American rock songs in that country's history. Even though the artist didn't write it directly, he basically took it and made it so big it was used in movies, used in TV, used in commercials. And according to the Amusement and Music Operations Association survey in 1996, is one of the top 40 jukebox singles of all time. Of course, it's old-time rock and roll. Now, Seger allegedly did some lyrics, but it was written by George Jackson and Thomas E. Jones back in the 70s. It was recorded by Seger for his Trend studio album Stranger in Town, and was released as a single in 79. It is a sentimentalized look back at the music of the original rock and roll era, and is often referred to as Seger's favorite song. It gained renewed popularity after being featured in the 83 film Risky Business, where Tom Cruise was dancing around the living room, celebrating his parents not being there in a white shirt and Calvin Klein's. Now, it has since again become a standard in popular music. It was also listed as the Songs of the Century in 2001 and ranked number 100 in the American Film Institute's 100 Years, 100 Songs poll in 2004 of the top songs in American cinema. Now, other writers on the song include Chuck Crozier and Bob Seger, of course. Producers were Bob Seger and the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. Now, ironically, ladies and gentlemen, this came after a big hit that he put out, We Got Tonight, the duet. Now, 3 minutes and 14 seconds came out in March 1979. Now, the Muscle Shoals rhythm section will often back Seger in his studio recordings, send Seger a demo of the song during the recording of A Stranger in Town. He said in 2006, and also in the Stranger in Town episode of the U.S. radio show In the Studio with Redbeard a few years earlier, all I kept from the original was old-time rock and roll. That kind of music just soothes the soul. I reminisce about the days of old with that old-time rock and roll. I rewrote the verses and I never took credit. That was the dumbest thing I ever did. And Thomas E. Jones, and George Jackson know it. But I just wanted to finish the record. I rewrote every verse a year except for the choruses. I didn't ask for credit. My manager said you should ask for a third of the credit, and I said, nah, nobody's going to like it. And I'm not credited on it, so I couldn't control the copyright either. Meanwhile, I got into a Hardee's commercial because I couldn't control it. Oh my God, that was awful. However, George Stevenson of Malaco Records claimed old-time rock and roll is fully Jackson's song, and he has the tapes to prove it, despite Seger's claims that he altered it. Bob had pretty much finished recording the Muscle Shoals, and he asked if he had any other songs he could listen to in the future. Now, at the close of the decade, in December 2019, he restated the assertion that he rewrote the lyrics in the verses. Well, like I said, that's for the mist of time. The song was recorded at the Muscle Shoals sound studio in Sheffield, Alabama, and Sound Suite Studios in Detroit. The guitar solo was contributed by Howie McDonald. Originally, the Silver Bullet Band was displeased with the song's inclusion on Stranger in Town, claiming, according to Seger, that the song was not silver bullety enough. However, upon hearing audience reactions during the tour in Europe, the band grew to like the song. In 1990, Seger joined Billy Joel on one occasion and Don Henley on another to play their song during their concert in Auburn Hills, Michigan. He also performed the song at his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Now, Alto Reed does play sax on this, so part of the Bullet Band was there. The Muscle Shoals rhythm section, David Hood and Roger Hawkins played bass and drums and percussion respectively. Additional musicians included Ken Bell, Randy McCormick, Howie McDonald, James Lavelle Easley, Stanley Carter, and George Jackson, of course, the writer of the song. Now, old-time rock and roll achieved substantial album-oriented rock radio airplay as the fourth single from Stranger in Town. It achieved varying peaks of popularity in industry trade magazines, number 40 in Record World, 28th on Billboard, and 34th on Cashbox. It was released in 1983 after inclusion of the film Risky Business and reached only number 48 on the Billboard chart. The song remains a staple of classic rock radio. Billboard felt the song's highlights are Seger's rough-edged vocals and the power-charged instrumentation. Cashbox said it's a piece of infectious raucous joy that was a highlight of Seger's concert. Now, in Australia, the song was released twice and charted for a total of 55 weeks. The first run was in 1983 after its use in the film Risky Business, reaching number 53 on the chart. The second run saw it reach number 3 in late 87. It was the third biggest selling single in Australia that year. Ironically, ladies and gentlemen, Status Quo did a version of this from the album Famous in the Last Century in 2000. A very interesting cover. Now, French singer Johnny Hallyday released his French language version, Le Bon Temps de Rock and Roll, in 79 on his album Hollywood. Pop singer Ronnie Dove recorded the song in 87, issued it on the B-side of the single Heart, and later appeared on his 88 album From the Heart. In 2000, the British rock band Status Quo, again, recorded a song of it. It was released in UK and reached number 83 and number 4 in Norway, and he played it on top of the pops. Now, again, the song was featured in Risky Business, starring Tom Cruise. Cruise's character, Joel Goodson, famously lip-syncs and dances in his underwear as his song plays after his parents leave him home alone. Now, in 85, the Chickbuns did a kind of a cover on it, and it was also used in a Hardee's commercial. Now, it was also featured in the TV series Alf, in a caricature of the Tom Cruise scene, in which Alf was similarly being left home and trashes the house. Now, ironically, ladies and gentlemen, it's been used in different media through the years, everything from games, ads and different stuff. It also was featured prominently in a season 1 episode of Stranger Things, and it was also used in a teaser trailer for Garfield the movie in 2004. Now, early 2020, the song was featured in a Domino's Pizza commercial about contactless delivery during the COVID-19 pandemic. The commercial parodied the scene from Risky Business and featured Curtis Armstrong, who starred in the movie, in this case, Giving a Fuck. In Canada, it was number 31, New Zealand 38, Billboard 28, and Cashbox 34. This is the 79 to 87 charts. Peak position 48 on Billboard's Hot 100, and 83 to 87 went to 38. Australia number 3. Now, certified silver in United Kingdom, 200,000 units, and 2 times platinum in the States. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, Bob Seger is always bringing the rock and roll in some shape or another. And I think why this resonates is not just the song, but it's funny. It's never, like I said, it was never a big chart hit, because you go to a dance in the 80s, you go to a party, you're probably going to hear the song, old time rock and roll, and that kind of refers to, the CCR era. So I don't think they're talking about the Beatles. But ironically, like I'm saying, if Bob Seger did write the lyrics, he wouldn't be stupid enough not to ask for a copyright connection to it. So maybe that's just an urban legend. But I really think it's a combination effort. Muscle Shoals were tremendous artists as performers and songwriters. So it is one of the greatest songs of all time. So if you like what you're doing here, we're a Bob Seger tribute podcast. Let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.